Hey everybody, we're going to allow one more minute to allow people to log into the webinar, then we'll get started. Thank you for your patience. Good day everyone, and thanks for taking time out for our presentation on Dynamics 365's December 2016 update. This information is going to be useful for all you existing users of Dynamics CRM, as well as those considering implementing Dynamics 365 in the future. A little bit of housekeeping before we get started. All attendee microphones have been muted to eliminate background noise. If you have questions, feel free to use that questions field in the dashboard of your GoToWebinar system. At the end of the session, we'll do our best to answer all those questions. Anything we can't get to or that maybe needs a little deeper dive, we will follow up with an email or a phone call. Assuming the recording works properly, you'll receive a follow-up email in the next day or so with a link to a recording of today's session so you can review it at your convenience or share it with others. I'll launch a poll in just a minute or so, and there will also be a brief survey at the conclusion of today's webinar. We've also made a couple of our ebooks available for you. Download those from the GoToWebinar dashboard as well. After the webinar is over, one lucky attendee will be the recipient of a $100 Microsoft Store gift card. We'll be contacting the winner via email to confirm their mailing address. My name's Mark Abus. I'm the VP of Sales and Marketing at xRM³. I'm joined today by Ken Farmer, our President and Chief Solution Architect. xRM³ is a Microsoft Silver Cloud CRM partner. Clients turn to us for technical and business consulting in the area of sales, marketing, and service automation. Microsoft Dynamics 365 is our core solution, but we also provide other solutions for cloud-based productivity, marketing automation, systems integration, credit card processing, and so on. Let's look at today's agenda. I'll provide a brief overview of Dynamics 365, just the basic concepts and an overview of the licensing model. Ken's going to deliver the live presentation featuring some of the new functionality coming available in the December update, those being Relationship Insights, CRM App for Outlook, editable grids, embedded Power BI, and last but not least, a relevant search. So, Microsoft Dynamics 365. The idea behind Dynamics 365 was born of feedback Microsoft received from a lot of customers. So what they were hearing was your CRM and your ERP solutions are great, we love them, but they're very broad. We'd rather launch with just the pieces and parts we need. We'd like more flexible pricing. We'd like to be more agile in the way we deploy these systems. And we want our users to be able to use the systems and the data everywhere on a multitude of devices. So Microsoft took these comments to heart and grab some of the existing products they had already that were very successful: Dynamics CRM, Dynamics AX, Power BI, Office 365, and so on. Then they created what's called a common data model that makes it easier to consume the data, to share the data, and create apps using all that data within those systems without the need for a lot of heavy coding. Now, an overview of the Dynamics 365 licensing model. There are two editions. There's the Enterprise Edition and the Business Edition. Enterprise Edition, optimized for larger organizations or for those needing a more advanced solution. It's comprised primarily of Dynamics CRM and AX. It's available in the cloud or on-premise, and it's available now. The Business Edition is optimized for smaller organizations. It's not all done yet. There is one part that's finished. It's called Financials, was known until recently as Project Madeira, and it's a logical step up from QuickBooks. That's how it's being positioned from Microsoft or by Microsoft. And then the other pieces and parts, sales, marketing, customer service, those will be available in the spring. And this is a cloud-only solution. Let's take a little bit of a deeper look at the Dynamics 365 Enterprise Edition. So it's made up of Dynamics CRM functionality. In fact, the look and feel is almost identical. So if you switch from CRM to Dynamics 365 today, you'd notice some cosmetic changes, but nothing that's going to slow your users down. Operations is essentially AX7, and Microsoft has introduced something new called Power Apps. These are custom applications, as I mentioned, that can be deployed without use of any heavy-duty coding. In fact, you might be able to deploy them in-house by, via your admin or even a power user. You'll notice here to the far left, sales and marketing have been combined into one application. So what you're used to in Dynamics CRM is the sales module and the marketing module have been combined in Dynamics 365. All right, so how do we purchase these apps, Mark? Well, that's a great question. So they're available individually as apps or in a combination, which are called plans. So in the example on the left, we've got a person who is a seller. All they need is sales functionality. So all they're going to buy is the sales app. They don't do customer service. They're not involved in finance. They just need one specific workload. So you've got the flexibility of licensing simply that one application from Dynamics 365. A plan consists of all the goodies, all the applications for those who maybe do primarily sales, as you can see in this example, but they also dip into operational functionality. They need access to customer service and field service. So this gives you the flexibility to purchase or license everything that's available in the system for certain users, but only discrete pieces of the functionality for other users. So that's the flexibility we talked about. And now there's a new kind of license called team members. These are for occasional or light duty users. They can consume or read all the data that's available to those other users that have a plan or an app, but they have very limited data entry capability. Good examples of that would be time entry, expense entry, maybe logging vacation hours into an HR system, things of that nature. Now let's look at the pricing. So the individual apps are available today for $95. Power apps are $40, and then that team member license we talked about is $10. If we want to buy all of them together, it's $115 per user per month, and I should back up a little bit to say that these prices are based on users and they're charged monthly. Now there are special promotions and transitional pricing, so what you see here is the retail list pricing. If you're an existing CRM user, pricing is going to be less. There are also promotional pricing, but I don't want to get into all that. because we just don't have the time this morning. We can, if you want that information, be happy to provide it for you as a follow-up. All right, so that is, let's go back here and look at this. So this functionality, when you purchase it all under one roof, it's called Enterprise Plan 1. Now, if you need operations, that can be purchased individually as well, just like all the other applications. If you choose to license operations and sales and the Power Apps, et cetera, it's called Plan 2, and it's available for $210 per user per month. Now, there are tiered pricing in some instances that give you a really great deal. In fact, in some instances, when we look at Plan 1, if you have over 100 users, the Plan 1 price is going to be less than the individual app price. But I'm not going to get into all those different permutations here. Be happy to follow up with you after the webinar. Advanced marketing applications, Dynamics Marketing, no longer offered. Microsoft is continuing to support that solution. They are referring people to use Adobe Marketing Cloud. Internally here, we're using, recommending, and selling Click Dimensions. It's a great solution. All right, so now we took a look at the Enterprise Edition. Let's just chat a little bit about the Business Edition. So the only thing available for the Business Edition right now is Financials. Again, this is a jump up from QuickBooks, but offers a lot of additional functionality around integration with CRM and Outlook. Ken going to show us a little bit about, going to show us what that looks like a little later. Also, you'll have those team member applications for the light duty users and the Power Apps as well. This won't be available till the spring. If you're interested in taking a look at Financials, we'd be happy to show that to you. Please contact us after the webinar. Now I'm going to transfer presentation rights over to Ken Farmer. He's going to provide you with a live demonstration and a look at the December 2016 update. So, well, before we do that, let me launch the poll. Sorry, Ken, you got to wait another minute. All right, so we've launched a poll. We've got a lot of attendees. We would just like to know what CRM are you using now? So are you on Salesforce, are you on Oracle, are you on Dynamics CRM right now? So we just like an idea of what you're using at this time. And we'll leave this up for just another 15 seconds or so to give people a chance to respond. Okay, thank you. Looks like we have mostly Dynamics CRM users, and a smattering of Salesforce people and Oracle people. I'll be happy to help you with the new Dynamics 365 system. And now I'm going to change presenter to Ken. Take it away, Ken.
Thanks, Mark. Can you hear me okay?
You sound great.
I always sound great, thanks.
You sound great, and your screen looks great.
Great. Is it the preview screen, I hope?
It says preview, and I can see your photo. You look incredibly similar to Fred Flintstone.
Mr. Fred Flintstone, excellent. So those of you who have seen me demo before, you know I like to use cartoon characters for my demo data. So we are logged in as Mr. Fred Flintstone, and I'm going to walk you through the new Dynamics 365 with some of the fall pieces. Now, we kind of had to pick and choose what we were going to be able to show today, as there is an enormous amount of either new or improved functionality with Dynamics 365. So before I launch into this, I want to just reiterate a little bit of what Mark said. A couple of points. First of all, if you're an existing CRM customer of ours, and I know we do have some on the call today, on the webinar today, we're going to walk you through, individually, we're going to walk you through your transitional pricing, what's available out there, and talk to you about the mix of Plan 1 type licenses, team member licenses, and build it up so that you've got the best mix for you in terms of providing value and functionality to your users. You should also know that and if you saw our transitional webinar we had a couple weeks back, all of the existing customers will be transitioned into that enterprise plan 1 license. So that's why it's important for us to go over that transitional pricing with you and then to build out a real good plan for using team member licenses. So that's one of the things we'll do. What most of you saw, I think, with Mark's slides and may have heard or seen a show already is the fact that Dynamics 365 is really more than just a new licensing construct. Microsoft is breaking out, obviously the apps into the various apps. You can pick and choose. You only need to subscribe to what you want, but they're also bringing in unbelievable levels of functionality with some of these new apps, and we're going to cover those today. Dynamics 365, if you talk to an ERP partner, a partner that primarily focuses on Dynamics AX or GP or SL or NAV or whatever, they're going to talk to you mostly about the financial portion of Dynamics 365, which, by the way, is incredibly powerful, and we love what they've done to that. But when you really break down Dynamics 365, what you see is that 80%, if not more, is really based around the old CRM product, CRM, Customer Relationship Management. Well, now Microsoft has really taken that to the next level, I think, with Dynamics 365, and it's all about customer engagement. It's how you work with your customers, how you interact, the tools you give your users. All of that is really around making the customer experience better for your customers. And we'll walk through a little bit of this today, like Mark had a couple of the items that we're going to go through today. Some of it we'll just do a quick 50,000-foot view, and if we have a little bit of time, I've got 2 other things I'm going to just throw up there and show you and kind of walk through. All right, let's get into it. So this is one of our original preview instances that's now been upgraded fully to the Dynamics 365 release. We were part of what Microsoft calls the preview program or the TAP program, so we were doing some of the testing over the last 3, 4, 5 months, I can't even remember when we started, of the Dynamics 365 product as well as the fall release. So we are very familiar with what's been delivered. We're familiar with what's coming, and of course then we have a whole bunch of stuff that's under NDA that we can't talk about, but part of us working with you as your partner is helping to guide you in that experience a little bit. So we're going to start with dashboards. For those of you who are existing CRM users, you can see this is pretty much standard. This is exactly what you would expect to see with dashboards. I'm going to show you embedded Power BI here in a few minutes, but I also want to show you that a lot of what you're used to, for those of you who are currently using Dynamics CRM, it's not going to be much of a change for your users, as Mark was saying. Your navigation has changed just a little bit, so when we click on sales, for instance, it's going to drop down and provide you with all of the other pieces and parts. You'll see that we've got the new module Project Service installed into this preview. And if we have time, I'm going to spend about 5 minutes on that at the end. Everything else on here is pretty much the same. You've got your search, which has now been changed to relevant search, and I'm going to jump into that in 2 seconds. You've got your previous recent records that you've been looking at, so you don't have to continue to drill down if it's something you were working on yesterday. A record or dashboard or a view, you can quite easily jump to it here. That was present in the last version. Few minor tweaks and changes here. This is your quick create records, which is, again, was present before. A couple of new tweaks to it. In this instance, you see that we've got all of the new stuff added with Project Service that you probably won't have. This is completely configurable, of course. And then you've got your same advanced find. No real changes there. Couple of different ways that you can, save stuff and share stuff, but for the most part, it's pretty much exactly what your users are experiencing. So all of that's positive, right? We've got a couple of improvements, but for you users, nobody's freaking out yet. So let's do a little global relevant search. So search has improved over the years from you have to search a single entity for a single search query to being able to do it a couple of versions ago cross-entity, meaning you can type in Ken and it will search over however many entities that you've identified as being configured for this. So it will search leads, it will search contacts, it will search accounts, it will maybe search cases and pull those up for you. And that's called categorization search. So now we've added relevance search, and notice I said added, not replaced. We've added the relevance search piece. So I know in my data somewhere I saw something about a catalog, and I can't remember, I knew it was something that I had to work on. So I'm going to just type catalog here, and what's going to come up under relevance search is every place where catalog or a version of that shows up. Excuse me. So you can see here there's a phone call that has catalogs, cases that have catalog. We can scroll down and it really provides you with a deeper list. It shows you, I've got, if you can hopefully see this in your screen, I've got 2 cases that show it, I've got 2 phone calls that show it, I've got 2 tasks, etc., etc. It also gives you a little bit more information so you can start fine-tuning it. I know that this was something maybe that Sanford owned or that Ken Farmer, and don't forget, I'm logged in here as Fred, so maybe Ken Farmer was working on. And then as well, if you know about SharePoint search, you're familiar with this area down here, which is modified on and created on, and I can really dial in the time frames. So I can, if there's a whole bunch of stuff in here from a year ago that I don't want, I can move this, and you'll see here now that we're set at 1 month ago, or 1 week ago, or just today. And it's going to return those results. And you saw that every time I moved that, it changed the result set. So that was the relevance search on catalog. Now that doesn't mean, let's go up here and you see the little down arrow, categorized search, which is what you're used to, is still here. So I can just change that and it's going to come up with the one response, right? Here's catalog store, it's only the account. Gosh, that's not what I was really looking for. So I can go back here to relevance search and it's going to pull all of this up for me. Okay, and it's going to stay on. This is a user by user setting, so it's going to stay at whatever that user used last time. So let me do something else here real quick. We'll do Redmond, for instance. And if you're familiar with Microsoft's demo data, you know that they always like to use Redmond as one of the cities for their accounts. So here you can see it's pulled up the city as the result set. I go back here to categorize search. It's still going to give me the same thing, but it really gives you the ability then to get a little bit more information about these, who owns them, again, the date ranges and scales that you're going to be able to use. Okay, so let's do one more search here. So let's say, I know that I want to filter this down. This is a demo data set, so it's not huge, but let's say I've got 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 records that it's going to search through. I don't want to have to get the result set of 1,000 and start filtering it down. So I know that they said something about interested in ordering. All right, and I can go and pull that up. And what I'm going to get now on the relevant search is using all of the phrases, all of the words in there to really try and deliver to me the results that have all of those words in there. That maybe one of these is something that I think is going to be what I'm going to look for. And of course, all I have to do is click on the record. Excuse me. Click on the record, and it's going to pop that record open for me. You can also see here that this now is including notes, because it is going to index those, and it's going to bring them in to the relevant search. You can see that the modification dates, the modified dates are still a little bit different. So that's relevant search, and again, categorized search is still there. They've just added the new relevant search feature, which everybody we've had an opportunity to show this with that has CRM already, that has large data sets, this has been a huge win for them. really gives them the ability to slice and dice, to find the data that they need in a much more prescribed manner. So that's the first thing we wanted to talk about, global relevance search. So now I want to talk about something that I have been asking for with CRM since version probably 1.2 was out. And for those of you who know me, you know that I've been involved with the Dynamics CRM product since beta 1 back in, gosh, 2001, 2002. And this is one of the most requested features that customers need, that users want, because they want to be able to go in and edit inline, because we're all used to Excel spreadsheets, right? So they want to be able to edit inline. So I'm going to go in here to City Power and Light, and I'm just going to click on this field, and you can see that it's changed now. And for those of you who have CRM, you know that this is a huge change. I just want to remove that dang sample on there, right? Now you'll notice as I tab off of it, there's an unsaved changes notification down here. Now I can go in here and let's say I want to add a, I don't know why, but nobody put in a area code, and I can kind of tab through these and make changes as needed. And I can continue to go, and you see it says unsaved changes. Now, one caveat is that when you're dealing with related records, so remember we're in accounts here. We're logged in as Fred. We're at the active accounts view, and this is the primary contact, which is a lookup on the account record, right? So I can click on this, and it will allow me to go ahead and look up and find a different primary contact. It will not allow me just to change the name. So that's a positive. We don't want that. That's the behavior we're looking for. And then same thing over here. This is a locked email address. It's not going to let you from the account level go in and change something at a lower level. Now, there's a lot of talk that perhaps in the spring release or even next fall, they're going to be able to have some logic behind that that's going to allow you to do it. But for now, it's a protection for your users, right? So then as soon as I click off of this row, watch this down here, unsaved changes, it's going to go ahead and it's going to save that row for me. So your changes are not saved until you're off the row. Now you can do a manual save if you want to. It just really depends. One other thing here that you've got is you can select it and open it. The arrow's way over here if you wanted to open that record, or you can just double click somewhere blank in the row and open it up like you're used to, right? So editable grids, fantastic. You can configure these to be anywhere in the system. You can configure them to be in a subgrid on a form. You can configure them. We've configured in this case just accounts and contacts, I believe, in this demo environment to be working with it. You also have the ability to, if you see up here in the toolbar, you'll see there's a show as. This is only here if you've enabled editable grids and configured one of them. So I can click this and say, no, you know what? I want to go back to just the editable grids. And here you have your standard grid that you're used to seeing. You can't really do any editing on this, and you can control, what happens and who sees what. Okay? So editable grids, fantastic add, something that's simple on the surface for users to understand, but apparently super complex in the background, or we probably would have had it years and years ago. There have been some third-party tools out there that have provided some editable grids, and honestly, we've used 3 or 4 or 5 of them. I think we were only really recommending one, but their setup, their configuration was incredibly complex. Microsoft has released, this is just really quickly for you techies that maybe are doing some administration of your CRM, but in the background now there's a new feature. If you pull up, say, the account entity under customizations, there's a new tab in there called controls, and that's where you configure the editable grids, and it's there for when there are more controls to configure and the ability for developers, partners to create their own controls. So again, leading with what Microsoft has been doing all along is opening that platform up to partners and developers to do their own thing. So that's a good thing for us. We're really excited about that as a partner. I think almost every MVP, CRM MVP you talk to, or anybody who's been using the product is super excited about editable grids and where they're going with these custom controls. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you here on grids is this new group by. So if you look, the read-only group, if you go back to the read-only old style views, it doesn't have it. But if you go to editable grid, now it has the ability for you to group all of these. So I can just click on this, and this is, again, our preview environment, so it'll take just a second to pull up. Here we go. I can take whatever fields exist here and I can group it. So I can say, let's group it by city, and it's going to start breaking these down for me. So this has no city, address one city. So you can see Augusta, Atlanta. You can see that it's breaking this down. So if you wanted to just look at your data in a way a little bit different, you can break it down. If you happen to have their industry or some specific categorization that you use on this view, you would be able to just group all the information by that. Okay, and you can click on it to collapse it or open it up as you see fit. So that was sort of an added bonus when we got the editable grids. We're very, very excited about that. Okay, next item. We're going to talk a little bit about Power BI. So if you don't currently use Power BI, we so would love for you to do it. If you have Dynamics, if you have Office 365 or your new Dynamics 365 licenses, you're going to have complete access to Power BI. Power BI tools are unbelievably powerful. It gives you the ability to slice and dice your data, not just in CRM, but in many, many other sources, whether it's a flat file, Excel spreadsheet flat file, whether it's an Access database, whether it's an ERP system, or QuickBooks, or there's a million of them out there. And the data sources, we're going to have, over the next couple of months, by the way, we're going to have a Power BI webinar. We're also going to have a project service webinar, so I encourage you to kind of keep an eye out for those. Power BI, especially now with the embedded pieces of it, is unbelievably powerful. People that have been doing complex spreadsheets for years, and it takes them a week to put these things together, are switching to Power BI and just loving the ease with which you can create these, the ease with which the data sets are refreshed. It's fantastic. So what we've done here is we now have the ability in Dynamics 365 in the fall release to be able to natively embed Power BI dashboards and Power BI reports. We could do this before, but there was a lot of coding involved in it. So for now, what we've done is we've gone on and created another sales dashboard using Power BI. I'm just going to select that. Now Fred here did not create this dashboard. Fred's admin created the dashboard and shared it with him. So, oops, sorry. I've been out of it for so long I need to re-authenticate. So what the admin did was go in and created the reports, created what's needed, and embedded some of those elements from that Power BI dashboard and report into the CRM dashboard. So it looks like it's just a part of CRM. It's your dashboard. It's surfacing this data. It's surfacing the graphics. It's surfacing the chart, and it's giving you this capability natively. Now, just as normal charts, we had the ability to pull up a CRM chart, and it would populate populate the result set in a advanced find window. This gives us the ability to go in here, and you'll see that if you just kind of hovered over it, you still have the three choices, but the choice now, instead of going to a advanced find window, it now opens it up in Power BI. So I'm just going to click on that. It's going to go underneath. It's going to grab the dashboard, then the report that was created by someone else, by my administrator, and Fred was given access rights to it. and has access rights to the underlying data. And now we've got this great Power BI dashboard. Now, one of the things I just want to point out here is this dashboard was not created from scratch. This is a sample Dynamics CRM sales template that is included with Power BI and was just brought up and put together and then attached to our sample database here. So you can see this is one of the elements that's in the dashboard. This is one of the elements that's in the dashboard. But the great part about this is I can now click on one of these elements and it's going to go straight to the underlying report. Now again, this is a standard dashboard that's included with Power BI for Dynamics CRM sales. This is something that if you're an existing customer of ours, you have access to Power BI, we strongly encourage you to set this up, and if you want some help with this, contact our support and they will walk you through it. Super easy to do, and it gives you a whole set of new elements and things that you can look at. It gives you the filters, basically page level filters, report level filters, looking at the data. I am not a huge data analytic fiend, but we have one on staff. So Erin will be able to help you with any of the things that you need on Power BI. She has glommed onto this product, and she's just rocking it. So again, you'll see that the Power BI report is set up. The tabs down below, if you can see that, goes to different sections of the report. The sales performance page is just a front page, whereas you can drill into all these separate pieces. And Power BI gives you the ability to go in here and say, well, let's see, that's activity. This is sales activity. I want to see what the heck this is. So if I look at this, many of the other elements are now going to change. Okay? So we can go back and use it. All right. So Power BI, again, we're having another webinar about that here pretty soon. This is just an embedded dashboard, bringing in these elements so that we can look at them, so that we can work with them, and users can now see new elements and new ways of slicing and dicing data without having to go out and build all of those themselves. Okay, fantastic. That's Power BI. We are very excited about just the native integration and the ability to embed these. One question we get all the time, we can embed Dynamics CRM chart elements within forms. We cannot yet embed Power BI elements inside of forms. That is coming. I don't think I'm speaking outside or inside my NDA. I think that's been released as part of the roadmap, but that is on its way. Okay? All right. So that was Power BI. We talked about global relevance search. We talked about editable grids. We talked about Power BI. We're doing great on time. All right, let's talk about relationship insights. One of the key things that Microsoft has seen as it's looked at how people use the systems and it's looked at how salespeople use the system is the fact that all of these pieces and parts, the relationship that you're nurturing or building, you go to 2 or 3 or 4 places in the old product and you could get the information you were looking for. Leaps and bounds ahead of where the world was 5 years ago, where you had 30 places and you had to talk to the accounting department, you had to talk to all of these other departments really to get the information that you were looking for. Today, Microsoft has now released what's called Relationship Insights, which gives a user the ability to go in, and we're going to go back here to accounts real quick. Let me take my grouping off, and we're going to go for, where is my Coho? So I'm going to open that record, and I'm logged in as Fred, and I'm opening an account record, and we see this new area in here called Relationship Assistant. What's going on in the background is the AI, the artificial intelligence piece of this, is going in and it's kind of querying and indexing all of the different activities and things that might be important for somebody to know about the relationship that's going on. So these are coming straight out of, say, in this case, this is an email that was sent to Fred from this user, Ken Farmer, this customer, Ken Farmer, and it parsed out the fact that there was something in here that, you know, the subject was, can I get a quote? And I asked something about Wednesday the 14th. So it's seen that, and it's wanted to surface that and make sure that we can see it. Now, Fred doesn't have to go to the account record to get this information. He could have gone to the contact record. I'll do that in just 1 second, show you the difference. Or with the new Outlook app that's being delivered for mobile clients, the Relationship Assistant is now feeding all of that information. So that Relationship Assistant is being surfaced on a mobile device for that individual, so that very quickly they can kind of slide through these cards, they're called, to see what might need to be dealt with, you know, what's going on with this account or this individual or an opportunity. All of those pieces and parts feed into it. Now there's, I believe, 20 different card types that are being released with the product right now. They're building more all the time, and they're going to open that up at some point for partners to be able to build that sort of intelligence and that sort of query capability using the AI function here very, very quickly. So now, when we're just looking at the account, we've got obviously all of these posts that happen, and if you have questions about posts, we can answer those at any time. Basically just automatic things that are going on within the system to kind of give you a quick glance what's happening. The assistant piece, activities, this is the same as it's always been, right? So we're at the account level. We're getting roll-up happening from all of the various sub-category type records, counts, opportunities, activities. All of those are being rolled up. So all of that remains the same. The notes capability is also the same, except that we have, in this last release, we had the ability to integrate with, in Notes, with your SharePoint or OneDrive and have OneNote populate in there. So you can auto-create a OneNote notebook that's in the cloud that feeds into this note section. But I'm sorry, that's just a very cool little feature that came out this last release that I absolutely love. So, so back to what we're talking about here. So Relationship Assistant, these cards come up. You can hover over it and you can snooze it. You can say, hey, I really want to do that, but I'm going to have to snooze it for 12 hours or whatever your settings are. Same thing here. Or you can go and take a look. And based on what this is, you can open the email. This was an email that was being, that this has been pulled from. Or you can send an email, open a case. So depending upon the type of card, the action items that you have with each one is a little separate. Now let me show you something specific. So this is a case, and this case has nothing to do with the actual user. And the user here, the customer, is named Bob Barker. So let's go open Bob's contact record. And in the contact record, you're actually going to see there's only one card, because only one of these quote-unquote insights was related to Bob himself. Bob doesn't have any, he wasn't tied to that case necessarily, so you didn't see the case. All you're seeing is what is linked directly to Bob, which is Ken Farmer sending that email to Bob Barker saying, hey, this is what I need. All right, and because Fred's logged in, he's a user, he's got some responsibility to this account. And this person, he's going to start seeing these Relationship Assistant cards. Very cool, very configurable right now. We're just sort of scratching the surface in what this is going to be able to do for you. But it's going to show up within your mobile clients, sales guys on the road. It's also going to show in, and this leads us to our next little demo here, it's also going to lead you to what's going on inside of Outlook now. So if you've been a CRM customer for some time, you may have seen the growth and the development of the integration between CRM and Outlook, or CRM and Office 365. What we have here is that next iteration. So what this is the Dynamics 365 app for Outlook. It's got a much smaller footprint than the old apps used to have for Outlook. It's surfacing data that's relevant right then and there. And if you're hooked up to the Dynamics 365 financials, which is at the lower end, it's called for the business edition, you're going to also see information in here about quotes that are being fed directly into the financials. So you're going to see some financial information, if you have permissions, of course, within this whole Dynamics 365 app. It's all going to be here the same. With this, you can see that here's Bob Barker. Here's some contact information about him if you want to just reach out directly. There's an activity actually here that around this, can I get a quote? These can be manual activities that are created. This can be something that is auto-generated in the back using workflow or business process. And then it also has your link to this account. And you can see that the email is being tracked, and I can change that. I can set a regarding to an opportunity. I can untrack it. There's a few other things that we can do there, but every time you do that, it provides you more information. You can see that it's gives you the opportunity to set it as a regarding record if you wanted to. So there's some things here you can do right in the app. It doesn't take, it's fast. So if we click over here to another email, hit the Dynamics 365, it's going to connect up to the org, it's going to pull the information down, and it's going to say, hey, Ken Farmer is not a contact, what do you want to do? Well, Ken Farmer's actually a user in here, so I can either add Ken Farmer to Dynamics 365 or do whatever else I needed to do right there. Okay, so this is leaps and bounds ahead of where that CRM app for Outlook has been. Now, the behavior I'm just showing you, this is not the web client. This is the desktop client for Outlook 2016. You get the same behavior inside of Outlook Web Access. So if your users are there instead of here, that's all going to be present in there. It's just an app that can be enabled for the web client of Outlook. It's very cool, very slick, very fast. There's not a lot of configuration. You don't have to go out and touch, for the Outlook, heavy Outlook client that's on the desktop, you do not have to go out and touch every person's Outlook. You can enable it within CRM just for any user that's enabled to use this, install it automatically and make the connection automatically for them. Huge win for us, I think, in terms of what, there have been years and years ago, concerns, and I'm just speaking from having done this forever with this product. Early version products are sometimes a little challenging, and sometimes that that app for Outlook has been challenging. But with this new release, we are super excited about this, and we're working with several clients right now in their transition to Dynamics 365 when we get this up and running for them. So I strongly encourage you to take a look at that, have a conversation with us if you're an existing customer. If you're not, if you're a prospect or somebody new out there, and I noticed that there are a couple of other partner people on our webinar as well. If you're not currently doing, hey, as all you partners out there, if you're not currently doing CRM, Dynamics 365, the CRM portions of it, obviously contact us. We'll work with you, and we'll take care of your customers for you with you as the lead. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. All right, so those were the key things that we were here to show you. The global relevance search, the editable grids, the Power BI, Relationship Insights, and the CRM app for Outlook. Now, I want to show you two more things real quick. We've got about 10 minutes. I want to make sure that we get you guys out of here, but these are really unbelievable, cool things that I want to kind of go through. The first is something called Organization Insights. Microsoft loves using that insights term, so you're going to see it kind of attached to a lot of different things. So we're going to go over here in terms of settings, and you're going to see here Organization Insights. Real quickly, I just want to show you this too for those of you who do admin work. Here's the Dynamics 365 app. You go in here and you configure who can do it. The requirements are pretty simple. You've got to be on server-side sync. They've got to be enabled, and if that's the case, then they are capable of doing it, then you can enable them for the app right there. All right, organizational insights. So this is something else that's come of Microsoft really truly listening to partners, listening to customers, listening to the folks that have been using the system forever. They know that you want to get a little bit more data and a little bit more relevant data about what's going on within your organization. So it can say how many active users, how many API calls. So this is really just an admin tool. Who's been using the system. You can change the date range. So let me just change this up. It defaults to 1 day. I'm going to default it out there for a few more days since this is a demo system to give you a little bit more data. So you can see here that who's doing the most active reads, who's in the system. You can see that various members of my team have been in here. We've all been using this to demo various pieces and parts of the system. Good old Fred here was added, and he's been in here as well. If there are some system jobs, what's going on with these system jobs? What are the most active workflows that are running? There's two major ones here in this demo system, whether it's pipeline phase or the project piece, which is, I'm going to give you a 100,000-foot flyer over here in just 1 second on the project piece. Storage. So you used to have to be able to drill into 5 or 6 different levels as an admin just to take a look at your storage. We have 5 different instances included, so it's starting to deliver on these. One of them has been turned off for maintenance, so that's why it's only got 4 here right now. But you've got the different top table sizes. So this is something that we actually went out and built a tool to use for our clients to get the top table sizes to figure out where their storage lies. And so you can see that Microsoft is starting to really deliver on some of these things that are important to us, that are important to users. So that's organizational insights. There's a little bit of configuration that you can do on this, not a ton. I can click it into edit mode and I can sort of drag things around. There are new elements being brought out that are going to be able to add to this. So we've got all that available. So that's organization insights. This is not something I configured. This is not something I did other than click enable. And brought it up and working. So these are just the things that Microsoft is now providing us as users and as partners. Okay. Lastly, so one of the things Mark showed you when he was talking about what's included in the Dynamics 365 enterprise level, and he talked about obviously sales and marketing. The old marketing that you're used to is combined into one app. You've got customer service in another app, and there's some new functionality around customer service that's its own webinar. Then there's project service, which I'm going to show you a quick run of right now, and field service. Field service is for companies that have trucks in the field. You're doing scheduling, you're doing routing, you're doing repairs. It's phenomenal. This is not a version 1 product. Neither of these are. Not a version 1 product. This is something that's been in the market for quite some time that was purchased by Microsoft. It was already built for Dynamics CRM, and they've integrated it even further. It's pretty awesome. Also included, as Mark mentioned, is the marketing, the Microsoft Dynamics marketing, which was the big, hairy marketing beast thing that was a separate purchase. Any of our existing clients that are on this call, none of you had it. None of you used it. It was for companies that have that do multi-channel marketing, and they have teams of 10 people in marketing. But that's being deprecated. It's getting off the list, and they're going to put something else in its place. That something is going to be Adobe Marketing. But these are pieces and parts, and the reason I went through that, sorry, it was a little long. These are pieces and parts that, as part of that Enterprise Plan 1, that you are going to transition to as you move off of CRM and you move to Dynamics 365. Those applications are included. So project service used to be a separate purchase. Field service used to be a separate purchase. They were both released in the last release 6 months ago. No longer. They're included with that. And as part of your Enterprise Plan 1 subscription, you get portals. So you have one free portal that's included, and that's going to be a big push that we're working with all of our clients about, to use the portal that you get and to do, whether it's a customer portal, an employee self-service portal, all kinds of different ways to use it, hosted in Azure as part of what you're doing. So those are all included in that Plan 1, Enterprise Plan 1 license. But let's talk about Project Service. Project Service is for organizations that work in a project-based mode, whether that's projects internally, whether that's projects with your customers. It incorporates so much, and again, this is a half-day webinar. We're going to only touch on a couple of things. Your ability to build projects in the estimating phase, into the implementation phase, and run your projects that way, all the way through to billing and being able to generate an invoice from the activities that were entered, time entries, expenses, etc., that were entered as you're working on project service, or as you're working on that project. So, sorry, let's switch that view. So projects are run as part of the separate phase. So once you've sold the deal, you create a project and you move forward. I'm going to go to, actually that's where I wanted to go, the Agile template. You have the ability to set up project templates. So if you do a kind of project all the time, for instance, we're going to be using it internally, we're going to be rolling this out the first part of the year. We have something called the Jumpstart. So customers that don't use CRM today, they don't have too many requirements. They just want to get up and running as quickly as possible. It's a fixed bid. There's a set of deliverables. There's a set timeline. So there'll be a template for that, and then we can just grab it and start working with it, giving the customers consistent, reliable delivery based on what we do over and over again. So here's just some basic information about the template. This information is pulled directly from the project plan itself. You can see here we can actually, and in this version, it's now linked to Microsoft Project, so you can link it and you can pull it and you can actually open up that project in Microsoft Project itself, or we can start walking through it here using Dynamics CRM. We can take a look at what the template is providing. See down here in the corner, it's fetching data from the server. Okay, and you'll see that it delivers it as you would expect. It looks like a project plan. You've got your Gantt chart, which you can turn off. You can set all of this information. You can configure it here, or you can configure it in Microsoft Project and upload it if you choose to. This is an enormous win and an enormous add for that enterprise level license, because you can do it for internal projects. You can set it up, for instance, we'll use it internally for some of our internal projects that are going, our internal development projects that we're working on. You can assign resources, you can assign people, you can set rates, you can do all kinds of great things. And the reporting on this is super deep and super wide. So that's a kind of just a quick taste. I don't have a lot of extra time here, but we did get to a point where I could at least show it to you, which was exciting to me. I love this product. We have the ability to go in here and basically, this is set by role, whether it's a functional consultant, an architect, a developer, or a program manager. So several of our customers have expressed an interest. Several of them didn't know they wanted to express an interest. So we'll be working with them on several project service deliveries. For Microsoft partners, those of you who decided to join our webinar, we can help you implement this as well. And I think that's it, Mark. I think I've talked myself out and crammed in as much Dynamics 365 as I possibly can today.
Well, we have a couple of questions. You have the strength to for those?
Bring it. I'm ready. Bring it.
All right. So we're at 11 o'clock. We're going to just go through a couple of the questions and answers. Some of them I've already marked for follow-up, but here's a good one. So it says, I've heard that in the future, on-premise version of Dynamics 365 will not have as many new features. Is this a good time to migrate to Dynamics 365 online?
Absolutely. First of all, the rumor that you've heard that the functionality will not be dispersed either at all or rapidly to the on-premise version is correct. Microsoft has been holding the line on that. They have extended some things a little bit with the on-premise version. We're told that some level of on-premise version will, quote-unquote, always be available. But all of the new functionality that you're seeing, that you're able to roll out here, some of the stuff even that we talked about today, project service, portals, those kinds of things are not going to be delivered to the on-premise organizations. Microsoft's push is 100% online. They are devoted to that. They're building their cloud business, and quite rapidly, I might add. They've got enormous numbers of data centers all over the world, and that is truly where all of the functionality is going. So now is a very good time.
Yeah, I love this question. It says, I'm sorry, but I had to take a phone call. What's the difference between project service, customer service, and field service?
Cool, thank you. And I hope it was a profitable phone call. Customer service is the normal things that you get. You're answering the phone. Customers are have a problem with this widget or that widget, or my shipment didn't come in, or the shipment came in broken, or the basic call center stuff that, or just one or two or three individuals that are answering the phone. Really, just managing those customer experiences a little bit, fixing break fix type stuff. You still have queues. You still have all of those things around cases. Project service is a little bit more, the full phrase is project service automation. It helps you manage project-based type engagements, whether they're internal or external, where you can assign a budget, you can assign hours, you can assign people, resources based off of their qualifications and skills. Field service is kind of there's a little overlap between field service and project service in some of the underlying tools. Resource allocation, the skills that those resources need to have, those kinds of things are all following the same methodology as project service, and they leverage what project service is doing there, but those are two really external type customers. A plumbing company that is sending out trucks, and you have to manage the trucks and where they are and the routes, and that's a whole different ballgame than a project service implementation, for instance.
All right, so here's one. When we transition from existing Dynamics 365, Dynamics CRM to 365, will our licensing costs go up? Is it possible they could go down? Question mark, question mark.
I'm assuming with all of our existing customers, there's more than just two question marks usually attached to that. Yes. So if you look at it on the surface and you just do your transition without any planning, chances are your cost is going to go up, because they'll transition you to the default licensing scheme. They'll transition you to the basic licenses, for instance, that a lot of you are paying $30 a month for. They're going to transition you to a full license. Now there's going to be a transition price, but they're going to transition you to a full license, where in effect what you probably want to do is transition those instead to a team member license. So it's the difference between, say, the transition basic license of, I don't know what it is, $45, $50 to the team license, which is $10. So there's a lot of things that if you plan it, if you work with, us, for instance, we know the ins and outs of it. We have spent 20, 30 hours, Mark and I, between the two of us, on Microsoft licensing changes. We have a 250 slide deck presentation. I mean, it's crazy. So we can help you with that, and we can help you get the best value and transition those licenses to something that makes sense.
Okay.
Did I answer it, or did I dance around it?
I think what you said is we'll do our best to make sure that you get the most appropriate licensing at the most affordable price.
Wow, right there. Difference between sales and operations. Perfect.
Plus you get additional storage, plus you get a portal you didn't have before. So there's lots of goodies inside Dynamics 365 you didn't have access before, and actually we're finding in real life that people in generally, especially those with basic licenses, are saving a lot of money and then using that toward building out additional modules, additional functionality. All right, so it's 11:06 now. We're going to let everybody get back to work. Thank you again, everyone. If you have a question about Dynamics 365 and want to start your plan, you can send me an email. I'm Mark at xRM³. A phone is 760-585-4248. You'll be receiving a link via email tomorrow with a recorded version of this webinar that you can review or share with your colleagues. So thanks again and have a terrific day.